The Outlanders Journey. Tier 1, Level 2. Chapter 6. Bach. You open your eyes to Mr. Senos standing before you. "My boy," he says, "look what you've done." You're lying on the ground, curled up in a ball. All you see is red, the scent of scorched skin. Your arms are burning hot. The skin on your forearm has melted off. Your ears are ringing. People are screaming. To your left, Laurel is dragging himself across the floor, gasping for air. He's lying protectively on top of Maya Lee, who is wailing in pain. Her ears are badly bleeding. Out of the corner of your eye, you see Mr. Senos again, shaking his head in disappointment. An arrow whizzes by, and he vanishes once more. Blackened bodies are twitching on the ground around you. You recognize Ulfin and Olur nearby, patting each other's wounds, the only ones alive. Mr. Senos clicks his tongue, but you can't see him. His voice echoes in your mind. "My stupid boy." "It's all right," you hear Laurel say to Maya Lee. I got you. He whispers a soft incantation, and some of the bleeding subsides in her ears. He struggles to his feet, pulling her up into his arms. There's panic in her eyes as she quivers and clings to him. The entire left half of Laurel's torso has been burned off, the boiled skin peeling away. He bends down and offers you a hand. "Bach, we have to run." "It's time to come home," Mr. Senos' voice booms. "Do not die on me." You push yourself to your feet. The sting runs up your arms. Your legs wobble, and Laurel catches you by the waist. Everything is moving so slowly. You gaze at your blistered hands. It's like they're floating on their own, disconnected from your shoulders. Laurel takes you by the hands. "Come on, Bach!" You snap your attention back to him. His mouth is bleeding profusely. "Laurel," you say, "what happened? Are you okay?" "I'm all right." He shapeshifts and regrows the scorched skin, wincing in pain. He spits out some blood. "I need to save my magic as much as possible. We need to get to the river." "Laurel, I think—" "Come on, buddy. We have to go." He takes you by the hand, one arm still wrapped around Maya Lee's shoulder. "We can figure things out later." Matuk is wheezing, his scalp almost completely burned away. There's a large puncture wound in his chest. He's alive, struggling to breathe. You point at him. "Can you heal him too?" you say. Laurel nods, and he quickly mumbles another spell. Matuk's chest glows for a moment. The wound seals over his exposed rib cage, and the skin closes back up. His breathing calms. Noticing this, Ulfin crawls over to him and coaxes him awake. The three of you rush towards the edge of the waters. You peer down at the churning rapids. It's a steep drop. You don't know how deep the water is. We jump on 3. All right? Laurel squeezes your hand. "Laurel," whimpers Maya Lee, "I can't swim." "We'll stay together. Just hold on to me." He nods at you. "Oh, okay," you say. You haven't swum in so long. What if you've forgotten as well? "Bach," says Mr. Senos again. You haven't had a good night's sleep in days, and your head is beginning to spin. "1, says Laurel. "Why do you run from me?" says Mr. Senos. 2. "You're tired, aren't you? This is all a bad dream. Close your eyes, and you'll be in a better place soon." Your eyelids grow heavy. You blink rapidly, but everything in sight is blending together. Your knees buckle. The cavern walls begin to spin. 3. "Sleep." You stumble backward. Your fingers slip away from Laurel. As your vision goes dark, you watch his hands grasp for you, and he calls out your name. You open your eyes to Mr. Senos standing before you again. candlelight flitting in front of his face. His shadows dance along the walls behind him. You're sitting cross-legged in an empty, blackened room. Your arms are still burning. Buck, my boy. You crawl back from him. Your shoulders bump into a cold wall. Drops of water splash onto your head. Are you finished yet? Asks Mr. Sanos. The flames flicker with his voice. Have you had enough fun? Fun? You say. When are you ready to come back? I don't want to come back. Then take a hard look at what you've caused. What a costly little act of rebellion. Buck, how will you even live with yourself knowing what you've done? To nearly kill your own caregiver is heartless enough. It would be enough to stop a normal person with a conscience from continuing, but you knowingly kept going, and now look at you. Look at this. It's time to come home and atone for your wrongdoings. I am going home. To my real home. Mr. Sanos shakes his head and sighs. And still you wish to pursue your own selfish goal. Have you no soul? After all the destruction you've wrought? I didn't do this, you whimper. You pull your knees up to your chin. How long will you keep lying to yourself? His face contorts and extends, his jaw stretching open as if to consume you whole. The flames go out. Darkness enshrouds you. His voice booms even louder in your head. The walls behind you give out, as does the ground. You fall backwards, but you don't land. You begin to float in a blackened pit. Your rage, Buck, Mr. Sanos whimpers in every direction. Did I not tell you how dangerous it is? I haven't been raging, you say. I was trying to be good this whole time. This is good to you? Do you know what Laurel thinks of you? I see it all. He despises you. And poor Maya Lee, she's terrified of you. They don't know when you'll snap. I won't, you say. I haven't. Tendrils begin to wrap around you like constrictor snakes. It's time to come home. I don't want to. Everything will be better this way. The tendrils tighten around your chest, pressing the air out of your lungs. You can't breathe. I don't want to go back. I want to see Mama and Papa in my home, please. After what you've done, they will never want to see you again. A tendril tightens around your neck, squeezing. Please! I will find you and bring you back myself if I must. My son, do not die on me. I need you to live through this one. You are too precious to me. You writhe and tear and strain, and you hear loud cracking. You rip one of your arms free, and you reach down to your hip for your sword. It's not there. You squeeze your eyes shut. You know your sword is there. This is a dream. This is a dream. You grab the hilt. It's sturdy in your hands. Just like your training, you hack away at the tendrils, cutting each section of your body free. You sink your teeth into the one around your neck, and you tear away its bitter flesh. A foul-smelling ichor spills across your face and into your eyes. It stings. This is still a dream. You imagine a white light filling up this hollowed space, and you force your feet to touch the ground. Mr. Sanos appears before you. Blood is oozing out of his eyes, flowing down his face. His lips curve up into a demented smile. He points at you and cackles. The sky turns red. His laughter reverberates in your head. You grip your sword with both hands, and you charge at him. With one clean swing, you tear through his shoulder, down across his chest, through the waist. His form disintegrates. You blink. You're standing in the cave again. It's empty. Blood is spattered all over the walls. You hear a deafening explosion somewhere deep within the tunnels. The cave begins to rumble. Laurel? You say. Maya Lee? Outside, through the light at the mouth of the cave, you hear shouting, the clashing of swords. Someone screams, and it sounds like Errol. Your sword is coated in a glistening ichor, which somehow reflects your face back to you, manic and terrified. You hear shouting, and Mr. Sanos' laughter ripples through the cave again. Laurel! You run outside into the open. Up a small incline, arrows raining down on you. You reach the top and notice, in the distance, Ernog and Dura and several other orcs fending off dozens of armored soldiers. Ernog strikes one down, and the soldier's helm slips off his head as he falls. Staring back at you is Mr. Sanos' visage, still cackling with those crooked, crazed eyes. The laughter swells all around you, and you watch as the soldiers' faces transform into Mr. Sanos. They point their weapons at you and howl. One of them carves his sword across Ernog's chest, and another pierces his spear into his stomach. Ernog falls to one knee, but not before grabbing another Mr. Sanos by the face and bashing his skull in with his elbow. Someone screams again, but you can't see who it is. Mayali! Laurel! You charge in. You pull your sword back and prepare to swing. All of the Mr. Sanos around you raise their hands in applause, cheering at you through their laughter. You run, and you trample over the mangled corpse of one of the Mr. Sanos. A spear jabs into your abdomen, but it doesn't hurt for some reason. You pull it out of your body and throw it back. Coward, 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 coward! You thought you could kill me in my own house when you had me outnumbered? Kill me now! Do it! You rage. Bubbling up from within, the heat spills out of your body. You are empty once again. You are a vessel, a shell, roiling with manic energy. You roar, and you barrel into the front lines. For every Mr. Sanos you see, you rake your sword across their throats and arms and chests and faces. Still they laugh at you, even louder than before, including the ones you cut down. Each Mr. Sanos you kill causes another to appear right next to you, jeering. They have no eye sockets, and blood pours out of their mouths as they collapse to an indiscernible heap. The laughter continues to grow and grow. Buck! You hear from behind you. Buck! An arm grabs you, tugging you away. You spin around to find Mr. Sanos' hands reaching up for your throat. You tear away and raise your sword. Buck, it's me! You bring your sword down, and he lifts his arms over his head. Your sword clanks against something hard, and a shimmering force field apparates above his head. Buck! Mr. Sanos raises both hands up in surrender. Buck, we need to get out of here! He begins to move backward, coaxing you to follow him. He continues laughing in your face. The hot rage swells up even hotter, and you snarl, raising your sword again. He quickens his pace, still facing you, shuffling backward. You chase after him, swinging wildly. He's heading towards the river. You have to stop him. He'll kill the others if you don't. It's okay, buddy. Just breathe. Just keep following me. For a brief instant, it registers in your mind that this is not Mr. Sanos' voice. He puts his hands on the back of your neck and begins to sing a stifled but audible tune. Let the winds and waters guide me to the land of Sylvanus, my forest, my sanctuary. Your vision blurs, and your head begins to throb. You grab your head and scream. The laughter swells to a peak, and then suddenly dies down. You blink. Your free hand is tight around his throat, your thumb ready to press in and snap his neck. Before you is Laurel, reverted to his elven form. His clothes mimic the blue uniforms of the soldiers, though now they are drenched in blood. He gazes into your eyes with pure fear, breathing erratically. He clings to you helplessly. Laurel? You say. You release him, and he falls to the ground, gasping for air. You fall to your knees and drop your sword. You wrap your arms around him. Laurel! It's all right, he says with a hoarse voice. He cradles your head, trying to hold back his coughing. But we need to go, all right? You feel him shapeshift again. You can't keep running from me, Mr. Sanos' voice echoes. He pulls away, now reverted to his furbolg form. Where's my Ali? You ask. You hear soldiers marching towards you. You realize Laurel lured you away from the front lines and to the riverbed. His face is full of anguish. I sent her with the Aarakocra into the river, but they cast another fireball in the river not too long ago. Arrows begin to hail down on you. You don't know what that means, but you scoop him up in your arms, pulling his head close to your chest. The water is just a couple feet away. With a running start, you leap in, and you splash into the cool river. The churning waters calm you. I will find you. You kick your legs, but the current is already carrying you fast. Laurel is holding you close, his face buried into your shoulder. He's shaking. You roll onto your back, and you gaze up at the sky. The two of you lift your heads out of the water. A few arrows pierce the water. You put your shield up over him. His body is so fragile. In your head, you hear Laurel's voice. Buck, I don't know if she made it. I told her she'd be safe if she went in the river. She told me she can't swim. That was the last thing she said to me. He tightens his arms around your waist. They set the river on fire. There's no way she could have lived that. Buck! Even in your head, you can hear his voice breaking. But, you say. Your heart sinks at the thought of finding her dead. But my Ali is strong. She's not that strong. She's still just a kid. You realize that Laurel is here with you instead of my Ali because you charged into the battlefield. Why did you do that? If you all went together in the river, maybe you could have protected her, kept them both alive. Instead, you nearly murdered Laurel yet again. The monster that you are. Everything you do, just as Mr. Sanos says, only causes destruction. What do we do, Laurel? We have to find her first. Murderer, you hear Mr. Sanos whisper in your head. You brought this on yourself. The two of you push your heads out of the water. He's nestled in the crook of your arm, weeping. You've never seen him cry before. Buoying up and down, your noses just above the surface, you search for Maya Lee's body along the shore. If she's dead, you don't even know if any of this is worth it anymore. This is your fault. Mr. Sanos is right, and he's still alive. He's coming after you. Up ahead, you see dead fish bubbled up to the surface. The water begins to warm. A bloodied corpse floats, face down.